why the universe is not and cannot be a computer simulation, because reality is a continuous system, not a discrete one. Therefore, the Matrix is fantasy and not reality. How I got to this conclusion was from chapter 16 of The Matter with Things. Although this book deals far more with the differences between the left and right hemispheres of the brain, chapter 16 deals with logical paradoxes, and specifically in the antinomy of change, i.e. if you imagine an object at rest and then it begins to move, at the instant when the movement starts, is it at rest or is it in motion? I cover these more extensively in the previous dialogue with Socrates. However, that was just to show the problems with Plato's forms and the reasons why we have the problems with Plato's forms. This, however, is just simply to show that reality is a continuous system, not made of discrete individual elements, therefore cannot be a digital computer simulation, which is composed of discrete elements. Extension is an irreducible element in our experience of both space and time. What McGilchrist is saying here basically is that there is no discrete elements. The discrete elements occur because we are using the left hemisphere to break a continuous system into discrete elements. So if you look at a span of time cannot be broken down into instances because the instant has no thickness. As soon as you allow a thickness to it, it is a span of time. This kind of shows also what the problem is with the antinomy of change. The moment it starts moving, and you mark the point that it starts moving, there's a little bit before it started moving, or else it wasn't moving. So it highlights the fact that we don't have, it's not bits, it's one continuous system. That's why it's a continuity. Well, why it's a continuity is another matter altogether, but if you argued that it was, say, a organic matrix or something like that, like a super being, you could possibly consider it still to be in that form, but it's definitely not a digital computer form, and which is kind of strange, I know, but nonetheless, the other aspect as well is the universe is not rule based. The reason why things behave as they behave, such as the speed of sound, something like that, the speed of sound isn't the speed of sound because it is a rule. We just say the speed of sound as a rule because, once again, we're looking at a continuous system that we need to create points on to understand things or manipulate them. But the speed of sound is simply the speed of sound because the material that makes up the atmosphere behaves in that way, not because of a rule, but because it's in its very nature. So many of the problems that we come in, I mean, McGilchrist talks about this, because we have these two different perspectives. One, the right hemisphere, he shows, well, generally, unless you're left-handed, and then the hemisphere differences can be reversed, but generally speaking, that side is the one that can see reality more, or is more in touch with reality. I also want to sort of cover a bit about the mental monism, because my real problem with things at the moment is, well, certainly regarding this idea of a dualist idea. I'm not too sure what a lot of people are talking about. I mean, Descartes' I think therefore I am guy went for a substance dualism, but it doesn't work. The major problem with that is that okay, you've got physics and you've got a spirit, but how do the two interact? See, that doesn't work on that sense that a spirit is supposed to be able to walk through walls and stuff like that. So why does spirit interact with the physical world? It starts getting messy. No, I mean the only aspect that it might work on would be as a mental monism, the same as not Stoics, those other guys that were like the Stoics. I forget what the name of them is, but anyway, they said everything is mental, and you might get away with a mental monism. That might work, but because the problem is the interaction problem, really. I mean, you know, you've got these near-death experiences, and they say, well, near-death, they actually die, but they're revived. But they say what they experience is some kind of existence apart from the physical body. So if they do, that needs some kind of explanation that says why there's an interaction between these two different things. The physics. I mean, McGilchrist thinks that consciousness, like water, has different states. So what he considers to be physics is consciousness in a different state, and you know that might work for, like, if you're in, if like all the universe is some kind of super being that we interact with as individual consciousnesses. So yeah, and that's basically all I wanted to say, really. I mean, you know, just be cautious of perception, really, because our perception, particularly in the modern world where we've as Alan Watts said, straightened everything out, we have a big problem with being stuck in functional fixedness, in the sense that we use that kind of mode of thought, the chopping things up into little bits so we can manipulate things a lot more easily, and it makes us vulnerable to delusions that we are perceiving little bits when in actual fact our minds have chopped them up.